Members and officers, and welcome to this Cabinet Advisory Board, and to any members of the public who may be switched in. I think we have two members attending for the first time, so can I give a warm welcome to Stephen and Keith to your attendance to this board. Welcome to you both. Do we have any apologies for absence, please, Alan?
Yes, I have apologies from councillors Canham, Eadie and Madison and Lucas Reynolds. And Councillor Oakley Dow is attending in place of Councillor Eadie.
Welcome, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair.
Are there any other apologies any member knows of? No, in that case, we're fine. And the substitutes. There are no urgent items and no references from other committees. Is that still the same case, Alan?
That's still the case, Chairman.
Thank you. There have been no items called down, so we're only here to look at the A items, that's agenda items 7, 8 and 9, although there is a point of information and clarification that a councillor wishes to raise in respect of agenda item 10, which we'll do. So in respect of items 7, 8 and 9, does any member wish to make any declaration of interest that should be recorded? I see no such sign. Thank you. You may be aware that Ian Ahmed has resigned as a councillor with effect from today and therefore is not in attendance. I do not have any vice chair, so please, if I don't see you indicated to talk, please make a noise or bring it to my attention, will you, that I've missed out on you, or another member, please let me know if you see them and I don't. So we move straight on then to agenda items. Sorry, it should be amiss of me not just to thank Ian, of course, for all his work as vice chair of this committee and his support he's given to me over his period as vice chair. Apologies, Ian. Agenda item 7. Stephen, that's in your capable hands. If you'd like to give a brief introduction to the report, members will, of course, have read the report and will be aware of its contents. Your mic is not on, Stephen. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
No, my screen froze for a moment, so I didn't.
Right.
I missed your introduction.
All right. What I said was that members are in receipt of the full report and should be fully aware of its contents. So it's only necessary if you wish to give a brief introduction and highlight any of the particular points within the report that you think members should take particular attention to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I did welcome you, of course.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, this is an annual report that the Cabinet receives. It's just my first time in presenting it this year. Basically, it covers the CIL income that the council has received in the 2019-20 financial year. And in that respect, there was a total CIL receipts of about £3.794 million that was received. Of that, 15% was given to a neighbourhood portion to towns and parish councils, which amounts to about just under £115,000. And there was this year there was a fairly large unparished retained of £468,800, mainly due to two quite large CIL receipts were received from the Murex development and the Lowfield Street development. The report also covers the fact that this year the council is not required to produce an annual CIL monitoring report. The regulations have now changed, and a report known as the Infrastructure Funding Statement will need to be published on the Council's website by the end of December this year. This covers the same reporting period of 2019-20, and the basis of that report will actually be formed by the CIL report that's in Appendix A of this report. But the IFS also covers any money that we've received or have retained by the council from Section 106 contributions. That report is still being formalised, produced, and whilst we know most of the SIL information, we're still actually gathering information on Section 106s. There doesn't appear to have been much in the way of income received from Section 106s in 2019-20, but there is money that the council retains. Any money that's retained by the council within the infrastructure funding statement, there needs to be some indication of what that money will be spent on. In the case of SIL, this will probably be indicated as the indicative 5-year delivery programme, which is Appendix C to the report. For the Section 106 retained contributions, they are more dictated by the agreements themselves. So it's a case of gathering the information on the contributions retained and summarising what those contributions are down for. In terms of the 5-year delivery programme, that is largely made up of schemes that are within Part 2 of the Infrastructure Delivery Plan, which is Appendix B of the report. The key schemes which I think we potentially could see being delivered in 2021-22 would be the Dartford Northern Gateway Bridge, an expansion of a primary school within North Dartford, and schemes related to the Darren Valley Path and waymarking in the town centre. There are still some elements of these schemes that still need to be sorted out before actually any money is allocated towards them. And any projects coming forward are subject to a further cabinet report for the allocation of SIL funding during the course of the year. But those are potentially projects that may come forward in the next financial year. With regards to the neighbourhood portion, what the report also covers is that the aim is for council officers such as myself and a couple of others maybe, is to work on the governance arrangements that would allow the allocation of SIL funding to local projects within the unparished areas. We have now got a sizable amount that's retained, about just over £800,000 for the unparished areas. So it is appropriate that some governance arrangements are set out as to how this funding should be allocated. Then there is a requirement to actually have quite a bit of local engagement for any proposals or any for allocating the funding and for gathering projects as to what these could go to. So the aim is that these are worked on. We engage with the local community about what the priorities are. And hopefully with the work that's done, we report back to the Cabinet in spring of next year with some governance arrangements, hopefully for approval by the Cabinet. And I think those are the main points that I would like to highlight out of the report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Stephen. Members, over to you. Any member? Councillor Goshine. Sasha Goshine, because you're both there. Sorry if I get you mixed, I do apologise.
Thank you, Chair. That's okay. I've just got a couple of comments really. I don't know if you'll be able to respond at all on them, Stephen. But looking at the, I'm just having a look at the infrastructure delivery plan on page 29, where it says about the Bean and South Fleet, the A2 Bean and Fleet junction improvements, which is good. But also, I noticed that there isn't anything in here about the proposed that they're meant to be exiting at the end of the month. So I'm a bit concerned why that's not in there. And also, there isn't anything in here at all about the infrastructure that will be implemented with the works being sort of organised for the London Resort. So if the London Resort goes ahead, then where's the infrastructure that's going to be put in place? There isn't any planning here for that. And also, I noticed as well that it says here for the community hub for the Eastern Quarry on page 32, work is not meant to be looking to start on that till 23-24. It says, and then so whilst in the meantime we're increasing in households there, we're not actually going to have any sort of learning hub, health hub there or anything, which is a bit of a concern for me. I just thought I'd mention that. I'm not sure if it can respond to it, but I just thought it's a bit of a concern that these things aren't in the report. Thank you.
I didn't actually quite catch your question about the A2 being an obsolete at the beginning of that. I caught the other two, but not that one. Would you mind repeating that, please?
So there was a proposal that when the lorry park was going to be built in international, out of Ebbsfleet International Car Park, Car Park D, there was going to be a slip road.
You lost it again, Steve.
That came out of the lorry park back onto the A2.
Right.
Oh, let's go again then. Let's try again. So
no, I think I've got the gist. I think I've got the gist of what you were saying. I'll have to admit your knowledge is probably better than mine on that one, because I don't know what the full proposals were with regarding the what would be the clearance area operated by forget who it is now. Anyway, so I have to admit on that one that no, I don't know the details in relation to that one, but I can obviously find out those and adapt the IDP to suit. The London Resort proposals, I think we haven't included them at the moment purely because they haven't submitted their DCO yet. So we can't be confident about what the infrastructure is that they're going to provide. Obviously, we're still in discussions with them on that score. There is also an issue that we are aware that LRCH, the promoters of London Resort, are keen to provide infrastructure through Section 106 agreements, or even some of it with direct as a direct delivery and direct contribution. So there's at the moment there's debate about what they'll do directly and what may be covered in Section 106 agreement, and that has to be all negotiated through. So it's a little bit too early yet to actually include this within the IDP. With regard to the community hub in Eastern Quarry, that is being delivered direct by the developer, and it is their proposal that they deliver that at the same time that the secondary school is delivered, which would be at the earliest September 23. It's also got complicated in that the EDC has a stewardship model that it's promoting, and that facility may get subsumed into their wider community facilities. So that has to be built into the timescale for its delivery as well. But I do take the point that yes, there is housing on there, and there is a need for community facilities in that area as it continues to expand. There is fortunately already a community centre on the Castle Hill site, so that is taking some of the that is providing some of the capacity needed for community facilities.
Okay, Sasha, you've got the response you asked for?
Yeah, my connection was so bad, so I didn't get half of it, so I'll have to watch it back and
Okay,
and see what
okay.
it said. But yeah, thank you for your response, though.
And you can obviously contact the officer directly if you
Yeah,
have any questions.
exactly. Yeah, so thank you. Yeah.
Any other member? I can't see any other member indicating. If they did wish to speak, please yell. In that case, I take it that the board is reasonably satisfied with the recommendations that are going to cabinet. There are no issues that they wish to amend to those. Thank you. Thank you very much, Stephen. So those recommendations are agreed through the advisory board. Thank you. We now go on to agenda item 8, which is phase 1 and 2 of Dartford Town Centre. Again, in the hands of Keith, and I think, Keith, this is your first attendance, so welcome again.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. This item, I'm afraid I don't have a copy of the agenda, but this item just surrounds the requesting delegated authority to proceed and appoint the contractors for phase 1A of the Dartford Town Centre regeneration project and phase 2. Phase 1A being the High Street and phase 2 being the junction improvements on Instone Road and Highfield Road. Those who've stood around long enough have been presented various updates on the project, and indeed I'm presenting a further update tomorrow evening to Joint Transport Board. But this is just a procedural thing where the tenders have been returned. We're just seeking agreement to proceed and appoint the contractors.
Thank you. Does any member wish to raise any point? Yes, Councillor Garden. You're on mute, Councillor.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Looking at the appendix at the end, looking at the quality percentage
Are you talking about the exempt appendix?
Yes.
A?
Yeah, is that not part of this now?
Well, I'm no, just make should we go into camera for that, or is that okay to be discussed in open forum? Can I ask Sarah for that? Because it's a pink page in my thing saying not for publication.
I think we should go into camera if we're going to be discussing that appendix in any detail.
Thank you. That's what I thought. Alan, can we please go into camera? Let me know when we are in camera.
Chairman, can I suggest if Councillor Garden wants to discuss the detail of the appendix, that perhaps we move this item to the end of the meeting?
I'm content on that if other members are. Are you happy with that, Councillor?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll see the nodding. Okay, so we'll defer further debate on this to after we've done agenda item 9, not to keep other councillors. Thank you, Alan, for your wise words. So we'll deferring that. We'll therefore go straight into agenda item 9, which is the Town Centre Public Service Protection Order. Tony doesn't need any introduction. I think we've all seen Tony on a number of occasions, but welcome again, Tony.
Thank you very much. Okay, councillors, good evening, welcome, and sorry to Keith, I've bumped you back to the end, but I'm just going to talk briefly about the Public Space Protection Order. You will note undoubtedly that I apologise for this. The paper that you read this week is very similar to the one that you read back in September, and that's because, funny enough, it is very similar. We proposed the order go to consultation, which is part of the strategic process back in September, which is what we've done, and really this update is to round the process off, where we are now in a position to hopefully recommend, get your recommendation, agree with our recommendation that we give the strategic director and head of legal services are authorised to undertake the statutory notice process for making the order. Because it is so similar, I don't tend to dwell on most of the document. The only thing that is substantially different is the issue that we've put in around the consultation. We have been in consultation for that period. In essence, the public and the police are both being supportive of the proposals that we put forward, which is both in terms of the area and the conditions that we intend to put on the PSPO. Of note, this is no different from the one that we've been running for the last 3 years, so it's really a renewal of said PSPO. I guess the only thing I would pull up around the consultation was it was very difficult exercise given the in terms of public in terms of COVID. Obviously, our face-to-face consultation couldn't go ahead, but we did make every effort to gain some feedback from the public, and that we did was supportive, as you can see in the appendix that attached to the document. I guess in trying to preempt questions, I know throughout this process the concern and the questions that have been raised around the consultation has been actually around what are the enforcement elements around the PSPO, and I've done some quite comprehensive work with the police in relation to that, and you will see in the reply, and I have put the replies up from both the Police Crime Commissioner and also our local Divisional Commander Simon Wilson, the issue that they put forward that that whilst they support the PSPO, they don't see themselves as the primary enforcement agency, and that's a question which I've taken up with them. And in essence, in our discussions, we've discussed the current situation, and it's what's become clear to us is that local police officers who work within what we call the community safety unit are very au fait with some of the legislation this covers, but our other response officers who deal with the 999 calls sometimes aren't up to speed with this particular bit of legislation. And so, having spoken to our district commander, Neil, he has agreed that they would receive additional training so that they will be able to enforce the PSPO when it is proportionate and right to do so. Also, we have discussed the opportunity around joint operations. So we as CSU officers would work with the police to target some of the behaviours when required. But the police themselves won't ordinarily put together operations by themselves to enforce the PSPO unless there is the operational need to do so for specific issues. So I think we've moved forward. We've established a baseline which I think is going to be very useful. And of course, in addition to that, as I highlighted in the paper last time, the council themselves have taken steps to improve our enforcement capability by authorising both our LA Support Kingdom officers and also our civil enforcement officers. They too can enforce the PSPO when required. I would just stress that in that scenario, enforcement isn't always the right recourse. Officers, both from Dartford Council and the police, will have discretion, and they will use it proportionally and in the proper way, as we have done throughout the previous period, where we have quite often used the PSPO as an instrument that we've been able to use other powers within the legislation. So it is a menu of options that we have. This is but one of them, and we have had that discussion with the police. So hopefully that will answer any of those questions which I suspect might be coming in. Chair, that's as much as I want to say, I think. I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Tony. You seem to have made some good progress with the police there. That's encouraging to hear. Thank you. Members. Councillor Oakley-Dow.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Tony. Good to see you. Welcome. Thank you for an excellent report, a really excellent report, and an excellent summation as well. Clarity on the police's commitment to enforcement of this was useful, to say the least. The initial letter didn't look too promising, as included in the papers. I have a question more for the next paragraph, actually, of the report, 321. In that there's a logic there that doesn't really follow for me, in that I take the initial point, experience has shown that the PSPCO is not the panacea that will stop all antisocial behaviour. in Dartford town centre. It is, however, an important factor which can be used in conjunction with other powers which the legislation offers. Absolutely, very clear. The next sentence I have problems with, in that the data provides the evidence of need in relation to applying the PSPO across the whole town. What data is that?
Okay, and I apologise. I always hold my breath when people start reading back something I've written, because I'm thinking,
sorry, and I don't mean to bother you everywhere.
Not at all, not at all. In essence, for clarity, we're talking about the town ward, which was for that. When I'm in the town, it is, in my mind, it's a town, but we're talking about town ward, which is where the PSPO will be enforced. And I think the data that really I refer to is I think the very compelling data that's highlighted in 3.9 around what our CCTV operatives see.
Yeah.
You'll be aware. I mean, we are very keen on our CCTV, and we actually have an excellent system, excellent operators, and a really good recording system, where they record everything they see contemporaneously. And I interrogated that system, and you can see in 3.9 the numbers that they were pulling up in terms of incidents which I think were related to the PSPO. Now, as I said in that report, I think taken out of context, we could be saying, well, actually, we are seeing some really serious disorder. Not the case. What we're seeing is minor, a lot of the time, minor infringements, but sometimes some significant, which I guess underline to me the fact that this stuff is going on a lot. And although it's not reported to the police, we don't hear about it, it's there. And I think when you talk about the point of the PSPO to allow people to go about their normal lives, this is the sort of data which I think is invaluable. It's not offences, it's not police recording. This is what a team of 3 people who watch the town centre pretty much 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, are seeing and recording. And I think that's, for me, a very compelling data.
Thank you.
It was more a clarification. I absolutely take your point, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, and we are very lucky to have that resource available to us. But it was just that where you say across the whole town, you're referring to the area of the PSPO. I
am indeed, and I apologise for the confusion.
No, not at all. Thank you.
That's why we're here, to clarify these reports and scrutinise them more.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member? Councillor Ozod. Hello, Jenny.
Hi, thank you. Sorry, again, it is just a point of clarity. Can we be clear that it is the town centre area rather than town ward? Because town ward does extend well beyond the town centre. So in terms of that data, it's not including the sort of outlying areas really of town ward.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, Councillor. Clearly, it's that data which I referred to is stuff which is within the view of the CCTV system.
Yeah.
Town ward, we use town ward as the border because it gives definition and clarity. You'll see it on the map of the appendix. Where obviously you know where town ward is, and I apologise. But the point of it, when we talk about using other legislation, what we quite often do is use the PSPO area to put conditions on people, both in conjunction with the police around bail conditions, also using things called community protection notices and warnings, and that gives a definition which allows us to understand whether somebody is in or out of a boundary, and so town ward was the best fit to the whole to the behaviour. And it sort of covers some displacement as well, I think. So I think it's a good meter to have, but absolutely that stuff from the CCTV only relates to what they see within their camera view.
Okay, thank you.
Any other member? I see no such indication. So with those observations, we support the recommendation to Cabinet. Yep, I see
Thank
no
you.
abstention. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you very much indeed, members. Thank you.
So we will now go into camera, if we may, and go back to agenda item 8. I think it was.
Sorry, Chairman.
Sorry, yes.
Can we deal with the clarification on agenda item 10?
Oh yes, okay. I've forgotten that. Do apologise. I'm glad you're switched in, Alan. Thank you. It's obviously not my evening. Yes, as I said earlier, members, Councillor Garden wishes to seek some clarification and information on agenda item 10. He doesn't consider it's necessary to be debated. So if you would ask your points for clarification, hopefully, Sarah, you'll be able to respond.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I think I welcome this project. I think it's really essential that we have a resilient system within the council. In fact, perhaps this particular exercise is overdue, which is in fact the first of my 4 questions. What is the timescale to implement this? And can we make the council aware of that? And can we hold it to be measurable and deliverable?
Yes, as soon as we've got approval, the intention is that we'll start implementing this project immediately, and it will be implemented by the end of the financial year, if not within the next month or so.
Thank you. Second one, what procedures do we have for consistency between the sites? I've had experience in the past when they're not kept consistent, and the mess that arises from that. People say, I've paid this, the other site says, no, we haven't. So very concerned about consistency being guaranteed, and how you're going to do that.
So we'll be using the new technology to copy the systems and data overnight from the Civic Centre to our recovery site. So this will give us our recovery point, and we'll also be taking overnight backups to supplement them, so the data will be the same.
Thank you.
Essentially.
And once we've now got that backup site up to date, how often are we actually going to exercise that it works properly?
Well, initially we'll be doing an annual exercise to test it, but longer term wise, we hope to reduce that and do a test every 6 months.
Thank you for that. I think that's important. And we're putting the old equipment into the backup site. How long do we expect that to last? Or have we created for ourselves a false impression of security with clapped out old equipment?
Well, I'd need to come back to you on how long we expect it to last, but we would be taking regular reviews of the equipment, and if we felt that it was getting very close to the end of its life, then obviously we would look to replace it, so we wouldn't let it get beyond its life period.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you exactly how long that would be expected to last.
Thank you for your answers. I think personally that it would be a good idea for the Cabinet to be aware of those, to show them that what we are doing is actually going to be mitigate all the possible risks that we have got, and therefore show that this is a good project. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'm sure that those clarifications will be made to Cabinet when it goes to Cabinet, and Sarah's given me a nod. Thank you, Councillor, for bringing that up and for not calling the item down. As you say, it was clarification. In that case, Alan, can I now go into camera and move back to agenda item 8? Have we lost him?
No, bear with me for a second.
Okay.